Hello, this is Paul Pharma. First, I'd like to apologise. My live stream was supposed to be taking place within the Pharma Quality Services group. So if anybody's there watching, I've just left you a message. Unfortunately, I can't see a way to actually broadcast this within a group. It's the first time I've tried to broadcast within a group, and I guess I should have tested it before I had planned the event. So, what are we talking about today? So today we're actually going to be talking about, well, I suppose giving an introduction to entrepreneurship and business development in pharmaceuticals, specifically for consultants. So I'm not going to be talking about the commercialization of medicines. I'm just going to be talking about what it really means to be a consultant in the pharmaceutical industry. How you can, well, what you need to consider when you start, and how you build the business. So for me, I started my consultancy back in 2011. I'd already been doing some, what I would call bit on the side work, doing some batch release separate to the pharmaceutical work that I was doing in my full-time role, with the acknowledgement and approval of the company I was working for full-time. So that's actually an important thing to consider first if you do want to start your business slowly, and you want to make sure that you don't actually lose your full-time position. Do talk to them first. Say to them, I'm happy that I hope you're happy with the work that I'm doing, and I would like to actually do some additional work on the side. Now, quite commonly, this is things like working at the university, doing some sort of lecturing, maybe doing some free consulting work for somebody, but just as likely it can be paid consulting. And what I'd really like to do is to enhance pharmaceutical consulting, because the way that most people do it now is they just go out and they say, oh, well, I've started my own business and now I need some work. And they go to, usually to an agency, say, I need some work. And they say, oh, send us your CV. We've got these 10 different jobs at the moment, and we'll see if we can get you to get into one of them. And they usually set the price. And you go in and you start 5 days a week and you think, well, what's the difference between what I'm doing now and what I was doing before? I was in a job and I was getting paid 5 days a week, and I was working what would it be, about most companies, I would say about 47, 48 weeks of the year, allowing for your holidays. And I was getting paid for my bank holidays, a nice salary and some pension and everything else. And I go out and I get a contract role, and I find that I'm working the same number of hours, sometimes more, because you have to do preparatory work, you have to do your tax, you have to do outside activities to market your services. And you realize that you're actually getting paid less of the time than you were in your full-time job. So what's the point in that? Well, the point is, doing it through an agency, really, you're taking on a job for a different employer. You're going in and you're thinking, well, I need some work. Just give me some work. I'm starting my own business. I need some work in the pharma industry. And they say, well, what type of work? What's your special? They don't often tell you what the specialism is. Often they'll say, oh, well, I've got this candidate on my books going to an employer. Here's their CV. Have you got anything that's appropriate for them? Or the employer comes to them and says, I need somebody that can do quality assurance. Have you got anybody? And they look through the list and they find somebody that can do quality assurance. And then they set the budget. Now, that's where it goes wrong. Because remember, the agency has to take their cut. And the agency cut can be between 20 and 30%. Well, imagine if you'd approached that company yourself at your price, whatever that is. We'll talk about that in a minute. Well, you could have just been saying, all right, it's this price. It'd have been 30% lower. And then I said, great, come and do it. Start tomorrow. When I first started my first contract, I got asked on the Thursday and I started on the Monday. And that's a really big difference between contract work or consultancy work and permanent employment. It's really short timescales. If you go out and get yourself a permanent job, often it'll take a month, 2 months, even as much as 3 months to get from I'm interested to employed. And that's with the employment law. There's a lot more complexity than there is having your contract, having your technical agreement in place, signing it off we go, start. Now, you charge more money because of the lack of security. So you might start on Monday, you might finish on Friday. And on the next Friday, they might say, oh, can you carry on another week or another 3 days? Or they might say, okay, see ya. What I've learned from contracting for the last, I should have worked out, 13 years? 13 years and a bit. Is don't just have one contract. If you've just got one contract, 5 days a week, working through an agency, what are you doing? Well, you're doing a job. Yeah, you might be charging it through a limited company. You might be using the agency to find you the jobs, but you're still doing a job. So when you start pharmaceutical consulting, you need to consider, what do I want to offer? What is my niche? What is my expertise? They're looking for experts in a set area. And often they're not going to employ somebody full-time for that set area. Maybe they haven't got budget. Maybe they're trying to keep the headcount down. They're not allowed to take on more. Maybe they just need 20 hours. Well, you can't take a permanent person on for 20 hours. Maybe they need 20 hours now, and then they need another 20 hours in 3 months and another 20 hours in 6 months. Or they haven't got the budget to be able to train somebody up to the right specialism, and they haven't got enough money to be able to pay the full-time salary. So they take a contractor to support them. A consultant, a contractor, it's the same thing. I probably should say consultant. Now, what do we do next? How do we make it work? Well, really, you need to define your niche. What is it that you are special at? How do you do that? Well, I use something called that I was introduced by another trainer, and it's the value, profit, joy triangle. What does that mean? Well, you assess the value to the client, the joy it brings you, because if you're going to choose a topic, you're not going to choose something that you don't enjoy. There's no point in me going to somewhere and choosing a job where I'm stacking baked bean cans in Tesco's, because I wouldn't enjoy it. Maybe I'd get paid, but I wouldn't enjoy it. So think of what you enjoy. What have you enjoyed in your career? What have you got significant experience in? For me, when I first started consulting, I already had 60,000 hours experience, more than, because that's what it's supposed to be to generate expertise. I worked out I had more than 60,000 hours already in the area of quality assurance. So why not start quality assurance? Then I looked at what area of quality assurance, because I wanted to niche down further. If you're a specialist, you charge more. If you're a generalist, you become a commodity. What's a commodity? Well, a commodity is something like beans, coffee, sugar, something that you can buy in different places for about the same amount. Yeah, you'll get some variability, some milk, maybe some bread, but there's loads of places you can buy it from. So what you want to be is you want to be that specialist. You want to be the product that you can only buy in one place from you. Okay, maybe that's unrealistic, but maybe there's 5 rather than 100. I do training. I deliver training because I enjoy it. It's, I would say, not as profitable as some of the other activities that I do, but I now have a set of services that I offer to my niche. Now, training, I really enjoy it, and I really find that the feedback I get from it gives me energy. Now, it's always really good to have enough energy to do the next bit of work, isn't it? So what else do you think of? So you've thought about, you need your business rather than a job. You need a niche. You need to know which specific area your consultancy is going to serve. Now, the industry is different to the specific area. So it may be that you want to be a sales consultant, and you can open up the market for a specific type of product placed onto a set market. And that's your niche. That's what you offer specifically to pharmaceutical companies that want to place that right product onto that market. So what else it might be? So that could be a generic, for example, onto the UK market. It could be antibiotics going into Germany only, sourced from India. Or it could be anti-cancer drugs. Anti-cancer drugs going to one specific hospital, maybe in London. I wanted another example, but I actually only know the UK hospitals. Maybe it's one in Berlin, and they do specific anti-cancer treatment, and you want to make sure that your product is top of the list for their chemotherapy. Well, if you're focused on the German market, Berlin, for cancer products, anti-cancer products, you don't want to create cancer, do you? Then that's your niche. And if you're in a specific niche and you're well known in that niche, then the amount that you can charge, the value that you offer the client is higher. So next we talk about joy. Well, what do you enjoy doing? Are you one of these people that likes getting the data, assimilating it, and presenting a graph? Well, that's completely different to somebody that wants to go out there and talk to the doctors. And it's completely different to somebody who's going to support, like I do, regulatory inspections. And I'll help them prepare, I'll help with the training, and I'll help with the presentation for the regulatory inspection. You have to think about what's your niche going to be that you enjoy doing. So we've got the value first. Now we've got the joy. Now we need to think about profit. So how do you determine which one's going to be most profitable? Well, the easiest way, if you haven't done it yet, if you're just starting out, is to look at the competition. See what they're advertising, if they are. If they're not advertising, talk to the agencies. The agencies will give you a good idea. Now, bear in mind that they're taking their own cut. They'll give you a good idea what the hourly rate is. Usually, though, I prefer to go for a daily rate, because if it's an hourly rate, there's a lot of admin. Verification that you've done it this. But it works either way. So you rank your different niches, the different areas that you've got the high value for the client, you've got the bit that you enjoy, and you've got the best profit. Now, unfortunately, usually you'll find high value, high joy, high profit are probably not on the same one, unfortunately. So you look at what they are. I usually use maybe a 1 to 5 scale for each of them, multiply them together, maybe look at the top 3. And then do some test marketing. Do some posts on LinkedIn. I'm offering this and I'm doing this, and I'd just like to do a poll to see which one's of most interest and see what you get. And then publish some content about each of the topics, but not one after another, on different days, and see which ones you get the best interaction with. Of course, your profile's important too. If you're not connected to anybody, if you've only got 3 people connected, it's not really going to work. Now, having said all this, this is what I'm going to be running a course about next month in March. So I'm going to post a comment here with the link to the application if you're interested in finding out more information. Now, I know the comments don't go to all platforms. So if you're looking at it and you can't see my comment and you're on one of the platforms that it doesn't publish to, well, you can either send me a direct message and I'll send you the link. And that will include setting up an appointment to discuss for 30 minutes. There's no charge for that initial appointment. I do ask that you give me some information though, because that information will tell me your current situation and we can have a discussion that's useful for both yourself and for me. Because I will be asking you questions to understand this new market that I'm entering. I'm going to be offering a course. I am offering a course for new consultants and for consultants that are really looking to build that business. Maybe they've got it already going and it's flatlining. Maybe they're getting variable up and down results and they want to make it, build it high and get static results every month. Static, all right? You don't want it static at the bottom. You want a reasonable amount in there, don't you? So what we'll be talking about is looking at the niche, doing the value, joy, profit, and then we'll be moving on to what you do about it if you've not got what you want. If you can't determine which niche, well, we'll look at how you can choose the appropriate one that's going to give you the best results and how to test it. Once you've tested it, we look at, did you have enough audience? Did you have enough input, enough data? I'm a scientist. I've been a scientist for, I never thought. I wasn't planning to ask that question of myself. Now then, when did I start science? 50, 48 years ago, maybe? Yeah, but doing science properly was probably at the advanced level, probably about, let's say, yeah, maybe 40 years ago. Maybe 40 years ago. And I used to enjoy it. And I enjoyed it so much that when I wasn't doing science, I was planning my own separate science, outside of the school, outside of the uni. Because my dad ran a pharmacy. So from the pharmacy, you have the option of purchasing chemicals. And there's chemicals, and they used to do the compounding of different drugs. And he bought things in from me. He had the license. Maybe he bought them somewhere else. I don't know. And he was just doing it separately. And it was just the fact that I thought he brought them from work. Maybe. I don't know. So like phosphate, for example. But I used to do my chemistry in the back garden. I didn't do it in the house. I think my brother did do it in the house. And when he had an explosion, it went all over the wall. And that's when we started doing it in the garden. It was quite funny. It's quite funny for me because I didn't have to clean it up because he'd done it, not me. When I thought there was some, because when you put chemicals together, we had this one that was like it was like building up the what did you call it? It was crystallization, and it was like there were some of them that built up a crystals going up through the liquid. There was others that needed a fountain. There was all sorts of different things. But if you put them together in a different combination and add some extra bits that your dad's brought home, well, you can heat them up over a burner in your test tube and watch what happens. And it often went, poof. But I used to do it in such a way with my safety specs on and my things at a distance. Probably didn't have the right PPE because I didn't know what PPE was at the time. I just set off some at the went bang. And I don't actually remember ever hurting myself doing that. I did hurt myself once doing a banger that I'd bought from France. Now, that's a really bad idea. Don't buy bangers from France. Not because of the banger part, but because the fuses are inconsistent. And it blew up in my ear. And I still have problems because of it. Okay, so if I ever tell you that, just come around this side because I can hear better on this side, that's the reason. Because a banger blew up in my hand. And I don't touch fireworks or bangers or anything like that ever since. Well, I did some of the proper ones at the proper shop instead of buying them in from another country. But hey, there you go. It was fun-ish. So, if you're interested in finding out more about the course that's starting next month in March 2024, then please do apply on the link. If you can't see the link, just send me a direct message saying info. I want info because I've already told my assistant, if somebody sends info, send them this link. So you'll get the link. Now, the link won't tell you anything much. So if you want more information before you apply, well, send a few messages. Send me a direct message and ask more about it. And I'll send you a bit more supporting information as well. If to do that though, you'll have to send me your full name and your email address, depending which platform you're using. If you go on Instagram and find me there, for example, then I won't know your proper. I won't necessarily know your name. So just send me a message and email name. So I can send you the. I send you a link out, and it links you to a Google document, which if I've done it right, will have the right access for you. And if I haven't, well, just ask for access. Just there's a link to click to ask for access. But at the moment, it's set up for anybody to access for read only. I went way off the topic. I'm sorry about that. So, what I'm really hope that you got from this is to be able to build a consultancy, to be able to set up your own business, to start your own business. You need to know yourself, not ask somebody else, what it is that you want to offer. What is your niche? Make sure that niche is useful or of value to potential clients within the industry. And you should be able to identify those clients and how you're going to get to them. Should. Not necessarily, but you should. Make sure it's something that you've got experience in and significant experience in, because they're always going to ask you, how have you done it before? What have you done before? When I first started consulting, I said, oh yeah, I've been doing it for 30 years already. Yeah. 28, 30, 2011, 86 to 2011, whatever that is. 96, 06, 25 years. So I'd already been doing quality assurance, quality, not necessarily assurance, quality assurance, quality control, head of quality, qualified person, auditing. And it's one that I really recommend, actually. If you're already an auditor, it's a really good niche to be in. Make sure you specify which type of audits that you want to do and go for it. So we've talked about value. We've talked about experience. We've talked about joy. Joy. It has to be something that you're going to enjoy doing. Why? Because it's hard being a consultant. You're going to charge more money. And it's important to be something that you're willing to do and get up and put yourself out to do every day. If not, you're probably going to end up back in a job. Profit. You need to make money. How much is enough? Well, don't just go out and say, oh, well, in my job, I was earning £20 an hour, so I'm going to offer it at £20 an hour. Doesn't work the same. Doesn't work the same. When you're in your job, in your company, they were sorting out the national insurance. They were sorting out the tax. They were sorting out your pension. They were sorting out any sort of healthcare cover. So you need to take into account what other expenses you might have. What I use there is something called the baseline strategy. Now, the baseline strategy is something that you'll have to come back to another day, because it's taking it a bit further than the call that we've had today, the live presentation. I haven't seen any. Oh, I just realized there's 7 people watching. I hadn't actually checked. I've been on here 23 minutes and I forgot to look. Sorry about that. I can't actually see any messages. Now, I know I'm using something called StreamYard. When you first joined, StreamYard had a link that said authorize StreamYard to know who you are and to allow you to send to make comments. Now, at the moment, I can't see any comments, so I apologize for not paying attention to the fact that I've already got 7 of you watching. If you didn't see the link that I posted, please do send me a direct message. I am running a course next month. It's a limited course. It's the first time I've run it, so you'll get more benefit than you would normally. You'll get live interaction with me. Future courses will be run with a mixture of, well, actually, this will be run with a mixture of live and recorded, but you'll get more me time. You'll get more personal support, one-to-one support. You'll get a reduced rate. So when it goes live, when it's maybe the next version or the next version, I'll be increasing the price as I actually clearly define the content of the course. The content will cover what we've talked about today, but it'll cover it in a lot more depth. It's going to help you to empower your decision making and give you confidence in your financials, making sure that you've always got business continuity. Why do people die? What? Not die. Sorry, that's a really bad way of putting it. Why do businesses die? Well, the most common cause of a business going under, going bankrupt, is actually tax. You need to plan for your tax. We're going to talk about accelerating your pharmaceutical consultancy to secure sustained revenue growth, not just one-off. And we're going to cultivate marketing excellence and master relationship dynamics to forge an unbreakable client foundation. Why is that important? Well, you want people to come back to you. You want them to come once and they say, I know somebody who can do that. This is their speciality in their next job. Let's get him in again. Okay, so thank you for watching. See you again soon. And if you're interested, I posted the link, but I'm not sure whether you can see it because I'm doing this remotely from StreamYard. Send me a message. Send me info and I'll send you the details. So that's Paul Palmer, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.